party, we like to party, party, party all night long. Party, party, we like to party, 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 never go home. Party, party, we like to party, party, party all night long. Party, party, we like to party, 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 never go home.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 7 of the Ball Talk podcast. Today, we're going to hit on some news, what Chris and I believe is the most important news of the sports world since our last podcast. And then we're going to talk about the battle of the heavyweights between the Thunder and Cavs from last night and wrap it up with what was an absolute meltdown of the OU basketball program against the Texas A&M Aggies. Chris, you're with me tonight as always. What's up, man?
What's up? Yeah. It's been snowing here all day, and I'm ready to get warm on the mic. Let's go.
Let's do it. So, kicking off what I think is the most important news of the week in the sporting world.
Important news.
I need to clip that. I'll clip that. That can be our little segment intro. Golf. I'm leading off with golf. The first time we're talking about golf on this podcast. The TGL,
Tiger Woods Golf League.
No.
Oh, okay.
Tomorrow's Golf League kicked off its inaugural season in Florida this past Tuesday with Shane Lowry's team and Ludwig Aberg, and I should have looked up who else was on this team. Knocked off Xander Schauffele and Ricky Fowler's team.
What?
Blowout
fashion?
Yes, they play by holes. So it's like match play.
Okay, I gotcha.
Just by holes. And the Shane Lowry's team just whooped them. I think it was 9-2. But I say this as my most important news because I don't know if you watched it, Chris. I turned it on for a little bit on Tuesday night since there wasn't any Thunder basketball.
I did not.
It was fun. It was fun.
Okay.
So for those that don't know, it is every Tuesday night. I think it's for the next 8-ish weeks. Don't fact check me on that. I'll come back and
fact check him for you. Leave a comment. Tell him he's wrong.
Yep. Every Tuesday night, there are teams that are going to play in this basically a glorified simulator where there is a giant projector screen that you hit into like a normal golf simulator. It's just 10 times more massive. They have certain holes that they've created. Some of them, like one of them was a par 5 where you have the option to hit to this island fairway that takes a 750 plus par 5 down to a 550 yard par 5. So they get really creative with how the course is looking.
It's like Wii Golf. Remember that the last hole in Wii Golf, you could hit to the island?
That might have been their inspo. Tiger might have been a big Wii Golf guy in all of his time off when he was injured.
Well, in other news, Nintendo's about to sue.
Fair. We're breaking it on the pod.
Yeah. But
I thought it was cool. It's a very fun environment. They play music. There's a shot clock on.
Oh, I like that.
Which is probably, they even asked the players who participated in Tuesday night's match what they would transfer over to a regular PGA Tour event, and they all, without hesitation, said the shot clock. But yeah, they got several more teams. A lot of the top players, at least on the PGA Tour, none of the live guys are in it. Rory's in it, Tiger, JT.
Max Homa's
on Tiger's team. They play next week.
Nice. I will watch that. Yeah. On Tuesday?
Well, and they're all mic'd up Tuesday at 8 o'clock Central Time. They're all mic'd up so you can kind of hear the banter. So they hit into this net, and I'll wrap up my segment with this. They hit into this net. They see where it lands, if it's sand on the fairway or in the rough. And then they have 3 little sections where the guy teed off from that you then go hit your next shot from, depending on where your first shot went. Then as you hit your approach shot into the green, behind you is this giant green that I think they said can support like 700,000 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
Because it has all of these levers in it that it rotates. And then they also change the undulation on the green and things like that to reflect whatever hole they're on. And this little spotlight comes from above and you go and drop your ball in that circle.
That's cool. Can they also when you hit from like the rough or the sand, are they changing that? Are they undulating that as well? Like lenient and stuff?
I don't think so. From what it looked like, it was basically you just kind of like place your ball which in one of those 3 sections and hit. It's not like it's like, okay, the sand is like you're on a slope or anything like that. Now they might be adding that. I don't know. But if you have a Tuesday night free, that was super cool. Better than whatever was on TV, at least in my opinion. It did better ratings wise than the 7 o'clock ESPN basketball game. So that's my most important news, especially as a little bit of a golf guy. Chris, what do you got?
My most important news, Ben, if I was to tell you how tall the toughest defenders to shoot over were in the paint, so this is like talking about field goal percentage on 2-pointers. And let me read you some of these heights. 7'3", 7 foot, 6'10", 6'11", 6'1", 7'1", 6'8", 6'11", 6'5". Interesting, there's a 6'5" in there. It's he's second toughest to shoot over in the league. Can you guess who that is? I'm sure you can.
Does that have to do with this podcast a little bit?
It has to do with this podcast a little bit. Jalen Williams is the second hardest defender to shoot over on 2-pointers in the league, which is just kind of crazy. Obviously number 1 is Wemby, and I'm sure if Chet was there, he would also, or if Chet had been playing the last whatever many games, he would be up there too. But Jalen Williams is number 2 in the league to shoot over at 6'5", sandwiched between multiple 7-footers. Kind of crazy.
He says he's 6'6".
Yeah, sure, he's 6'6". Still doesn't take away from the dramatic height difference that we're seeing in this.
That's fair.
Yeah,
that is fair.
So that's my most important news. Thank you, Sports Radar, for putting that out there.
Shout out Sports Radar.
Yeah,
I don't even know what that is, but
yeah, well,
it's stuff.
In other news, the Chicago Bears are interviewing 14-plus candidates for their head coaching position that has recently been vacated this year.
Is one of them Venables?
One of them is not that I've read. Last Sunday, the Browns started a new quarterback, Bailey Zappi. That is the 40th quarterback to start since 1999. In other news, Baker Mayfield, a former Brown, and the Bucks play in the wild card game this weekend. There are rumors that college football coaches are being sought after for a pro job, including Steve Sarkisian and Deion Sanders. The college football playoffs are this weekend. I think one is happening right now. Notre Dame and Penn State at Notre Dame -2.5. Ohio State and Texas is tomorrow, Saturday?
Yes, Friday
night. OSU is favored by 5.5. It is also being reported.
Ohio State.
It is also being reported that Notre Dame is suffering from flu-like symptoms. Jimmy Butler of the Miami Heat got suspended and is now asking for a trade out of Miami after comments the team determined detrimental to the team. Zion Williamson finally returns to the floor after 27 games, scoring 22 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. And All-Star voting is out. The number 1 guard in the West is your Thunder, SGA. Jalen Williams is also in the running, so don't forget to go vote Thunder for the All-Star game this year.
I voted today. Did you?
Yes, I did vote, of course.
Good. We need to provide a link or something once we get this on social.
Yeah, vote. Or just go to any Thunder post and
on Twitter, X, NBA.com, whatever it is.
Right, wherever you can.
A couple things on your news segment. A couple points I want to make. One, Penn State is currently leading 3-0.
Well, that's because Notre Dame's kind of sick.
Battling the flu.
If
you see anybody throwing up on the sidelines, it might not be because they're tired.
Whatever end it's coming out of.
We cannot confirm or deny why. And secondly, Zion Williamson, you mentioned, made his return from a multi-month absence. He played last night, looked good. He's out tonight.
No, Zion! I just made that whole news segment.
Yeah,
Shoot.
well, honestly, that's how the Thunder will be with Chet, but it's just funny. Everyone's like, Zion's back. Like, he's the savior. The Pelicans are good. He's out.
Well, the Pelicans have no chance.
No, they have the best odds for the number 1 pick right now. Like, they have the worst record in the league, which is crazy. I don't hate it, but yeah.
That's pretty funny. I did not know that. Are they just citing like the same injury?
Well, it's like whatever they say, like
return to protocol,
competition, or whatever, injury management, blah blah blah. But maybe he went to Taco Bell after the game last night and just wasn't feeling good this morning.
I didn't watch any of the game. I just saw that news clip. Did he look good, or did he look?
Yeah, he pulled out like a reverse windmill jam in transition.
Yeah, but
he looks healthy.
That. He looks healthy or healthy.
He looks as healthy as Zion Williamson could look.
All right, that makes sense.
Yeah. So that's your news segment, Chris. Wonderful job this evening. Might be fighting off some news stations from you with all of this news you've been dropping.
Oh, I hope so. I'd leave your ass so fast.
I can't afford you. So, moving on from that, as many are aware, especially those listening to this podcast, the Thunder's 15-game win streak came to an end last night at the hands of the Cleveland Cavaliers by a score of 129-122. Chris, how are you reacting to this loss?
Honestly, pretty good. I mean, it is like, I don't know how you feel, but like 16 games in a row, were you expecting to win the 17th?
No, I wasn't expecting to win the 16th, which would have been last night. Yep.
So I think both of us have been preparing for defeat for a while. So I'm taking it pretty good. Plus, I read somewhere that the front court of the Cleveland Cavaliers, which includes Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, combined for 46 points, 22 rebounds, and 13 assists or something like that. Just an insane production from that crew, because I felt like we kept their two guards in check, you know? So
Mitchell was bad. He was 3 of 16 for 11 points. Probably his worst game this season.
He had the
torture chamber.
Yeah.
But yeah, you mentioned Mobley and Allen. I think my main takeaway from this game, especially when trying to look at the whole scope of it and not being overly biased all the time, the Cavs are pretty dang good.
I agree. And
it's not one of those fluke regular season teams. They are now on an 11-game win streak, sitting at 32-4 on the season, number one in the league, number one in the East.
And that's their second win streak of longer than 10 games.
Yeah, they started the season 15-0. So if the Thunder had won last night, they would have eclipsed the longest winning streak of the season by any team. Mobley and Allen were incredible. Everyone talks about Donovan Mitchell for that team. He played fine. He didn't score the ball well, as I mentioned, just 3 of 16 from the field, 2 of 7 from 3. But he had 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Garland was good, not great, I don't think. He had 18.7 assists and 1 rebound. But what Mobley and Allen did, especially against a Thunder team that Hartenstein was our lone big, and he got into foul trouble. He picked up his 4th, with 7 minutes left in the third. And you could tell after that he kind of had to be a little more cautious about how he was going to play defense, because we needed him. We needed him for long stretches. It wasn't like he could go sit out until 5 minutes left in the fourth and see how it goes. Mobley's much stronger this year. He's much better with the ball, more confident. He had a couple moves where he was able to take contact off of Hartenstein. He was very strong himself, one of the stronger and tougher players in the league, in my opinion. And it didn't knock him too far off his spot, and he was able to go finish. He has extended out to the three-point line. He's shooting 42% this year from 3. He didn't hit one last night, but the threat was there. He was 0 for 3, as I said. And then the big-to-big passing from Jared Allen to Evan Mobley, especially when either of them got at the high post, they could throw a lob. I mean, you mentioned they combined for 13 assists between two 7-footers that I don't want to say aren't like nobody thought was capable of that. It's something that's very impressive, especially against the Thunder's defense.
Yeah.
And I think as a Thunder fan, you should feel great about seeing that, because the hope is that is the blueprint, or even just the bottom level of what Chet and Hartenstein could be when Chet comes back.
100%. It felt like 3 or 4 times in a row down the field or down the court, they would have either Mobley or not. They would have Garland bring it up or another guard bring it up, and then they would pass it in the high post, and either Jared Allen or Mobley would turn around and ditch it down low. And you're like, well, we can't, with our help situation, we were having a smaller guard help below, so there was like no chance. But you think about it, Chet would be that guy, or Hartenstein would be that help guy, and we'd be able to play better defense like that, and it's an immediate upgrade. So,
go ahead.
No. I was just saying, in my brain, it's like 2 tough teams, really good game to watch. No, everyone played really well. Everyone, we shot the ball pretty well, but there's no hard feelings after this game.
Yeah, it was, and I'll commend the NBA for this. The NBA marketed the crap out of this game the day of. Like maybe the night before and the day of. This got flexed, which when I say flexed, it was originally just going to be on like local television, but then they moved their original 6:00 game out of that spot, put that on whatever it's local. I think it was like a Bulls Pacers game or something. I can't remember. And then moved the Thunder and Cavs game into that primetime slot. And on Twitter, you were seeing like tons of posts. Like one of them was like top 25 reasons why you should watch this game, and it was 25 individual tweets, so you'd have to click on it, and it was a whole thread. They provided stats about how this was, I think, I don't know if it was either the first or the fourth. I'm getting those 2 numbers mixed up. That I think it was the first time a 15-game win streak went up against a 10-game win streak, or at least 2 double digits like that. And so after all the complaining about the NBA not marketing the Thunder, and it's kind of crazy to hear this living in Oklahoma City, they were talking about how Cleveland's also a small market team. And to me, Cleveland's a way bigger city than Oklahoma City. 0 facts to back that up, just vibes.
Hold on. Keep talking.
So that was really cool to see them at least show a pulse in terms of like, oh, these are 2 really good teams. We should make sure people watch this. And the game delivered. And I say this, I know the Thunder lost. They lost by 7. It definitely was played closer to that. It was just those last couple possessions really extended that out for Cleveland. I think someone said in the fourth quarter, it was the first time all year that both teams scored 40 points in a quarter. And with it being 129-122, it was the most points the Thunder allowed this year. I don't think it was bad defense by any means. It was just very, very good basketball. And Cleveland is definitely the number 1 offense in the league this year, according to net rating. And they proved that. Right.
I totally agree. If you look at our guard pressure, you said that the 2 guards, Garland and I can't remember his name, Mitchell, were both kept in check. So, the guard pressure is there. They were able to find stuff inside, which is expected when you miss the best rim defender in the NBA, or second best or third best, however you think about him in the NBA.
On this podcast, he's number 1.
But on this podcast, he's number 1. I do have some stats about Cleveland being a small market.
Lay it out for me.
Okay, so Oklahoma City population, and granted, Oklahoma City, I'm not sure exactly where they're drawing this line. I'm sure they're including probably Edmond and Norman and more, but I'm not totally sure. The population is 600,000 or 673,000. Guess how much Cleveland is?
What is it, like 10 million?
374,000. There's 300,000 people less in Cleveland than there is in Oklahoma City. Yeah.
No chance.
Yeah. They're also older as a population. I'm going to say the 2020.
Source your facts.
Thebestplaces.net.
Sounds okay. Sounds legit. Okay, sorry, Cleveland. I think those numbers definitely include the metro. It's not just Oklahoma City, but honestly, Cleveland just feels so much bigger than that to me. I've never been to Cleveland, so I can't say that, uneducated opinion here. But let's see here. I wrote down a couple notes after the game because I knew we wouldn't be recording right after. The number one thing I said was we win that game with Chet.
Yeah.
Because the matching him up, having 2 7-footers out there, especially because Hartenstein, I think people talk about like the anchor of the defense, whoever's like guarding the 5, kind of commanding the paint. Chet had to be that last year because we didn't have anyone else outside of Jaywell, who's not really a rim protector. But if you have Hartenstein like being the guy that's banging bodies with the other center, and Chet's roaming off of that, it can go get backs or weak side blocks, things like that. The potential for that defense is crazy, and we needed that last night. He also would have spaced the floor more. One thing I have noted here is that it was the first time in a while we got pretty good non-Shea minutes in terms of scoring on the offensive end.
Right.
And the next thing I have after that is it was probably Dub's best, and I use air quotes, big game of the year, and really asserted himself. And he had that shot clock buzzer beater in the
that
second
step
half.
through was
so sick.
Nasty.
There's no chance he didn't walk, and yet he didn't.
Yeah. Though I thought the same thing, and then there's a replay from the other direction. He never picks up his pivot.
His toe is on the ground the entire time.
It's crazy. Yeah. Which is awesome to see. Big time game. Probably the biggest, most hyped game of the season we've played. And we've played a couple big ones. And J-Dub really delivered. And it felt really nice seeing that. I totally agree.
Yeah, and I'd said on this podcast before, like I said, I don't think it was a call out. It was just like I want to see him produce more in those moments. And especially in this game, he did. He had, pulling up his stat line right now, he had 25 points, 5 rebounds, 9 assists.
Crazy.
Which, if that's he averages 25 and 5 this year, and it was up to like 21 or 22, but recently, I mean, like the Celtics game, he only had 10 points. He hadn't eclipsed 20 points in 4 or 5 games before this. What he did, especially in he started the game hot. Like I think he had like 6 or 8 points like right off the bat.
Hit a
and
3.
He matched the physicality of Cleveland and the intensity of the game, which usually that's just Shea doing that in the first quarter. So it was good to see someone else, not to say Shea didn't, but kind of be like his true Robin to Shea's Batman.
Right. He did it.
He played well.
He did it so well that they switched up their rotations. Mark was feeling that J-Dub was taking it to the defense, so he benched Shea the first quarter. I love that Mark does that and just goes with the flow of the game. So it was really cool to see, J-Dub step up in that moment.
Well, not just that. They said after the game that Mark told Shea yesterday morning that Shea got into foul trouble. He had 4 fouls in the third, and so he got taken out. Usually he plays the entire third quarter, and Dub comes out early and then starts the fourth. But Shea and Mark said in the post game that Mark told Shea that he was going to take Shea out in the third, basically swap how they do their minutes in the second half and have Shea play the whole fourth, which they did. It looked like at the time that was mainly because of foul trouble, but apparently that was the plan all along, which I like. It was a big game. Shea the whole fourth quarter, especially that very beginning, wherever usually the other team stars are sitting, maybe try to either stretch a lead or get one.
Right.
Like you said, he's experimenting with that stuff all the time. What did you think of Shea's game?
In a weird way, I don't remember it, if that makes sense. I think he had 33 points or something.
31.
He had 31, and I'm sure he had 6 assists, five boards or whatever it is. But I mean, Shea's the best player on the court, and every time he steps on the court, and it's weird to say he kind of felt like he worked in as a ghost last night. I didn't really, it didn't really recognize any bitch.
31, 5, and 4. That was his line.
I felt like he missed a few of his like gimme shots. So, but
he
still,
didn't have those loud buckets, like those ones that shift momentum or extend a lead out. He was 1 of 6 from 3, which I don't think he really forced any bad threes or anything. Like some of the people early in the season were saying that he's taking too many. 6 is fine. He still shot well. I mean, I was like, Shea was really good in this game. for just a regular NBA player. He had a really, really good game. That was an average Shea game, which shows just how insanely good he is at basketball.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. We'll see how the team bounces back from this. A couple other notes from this game. Hartenstein had a near impossible task, as we mentioned. The Mobley-Allen duo played so well. Hartenstein was in foul trouble, and everyone was kind of like, "Oh, he wasn't that effective." Like I've seen on Twitter, it was maybe a game that exposed some flaws. He was 2 assists away from a triple double.
Yeah, he like the guys we got this summer, Alex Caruso included. I guess it's just those two. They all do work in the shadows and make the plays that are hard to make that no one else wants to make. So it's hard for me to ever say that Isaiah Hartenstein's not out there impacting winning. Yeah.
Agreed. I mean, he had 18 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists. If I remember right, I can pull it up here. I don't think he had any blocks or steals. 0 blocks, 0 steals. He, like I said, picked up those fouls and kind of had to be less assertive with his defense, which hurt. But we obviously needed him. Especially one of the things that Cleveland did in the fourth quarter is when I noticed it the most. They did it in the first half as well, but it was more effective in the fourth. Is they switched to a zone. Yeah, and our flow just was not there. The Thunder have struggled with the zone in the past, mainly due to lack of shooting. Last year, our shooting was number 1. We were the number 1 3-point field goal percentage team in the league. This year, as it's been well documented by many, we haven't shot it as well. But the flow of the game, Shea can't just go break somebody down and make a shot at the end of a shot clock and bail out a bad offensive possession as easily against a zone. And so Hartenstein is a very big piece against a zone. You put him in the middle, people can cut, things like that. Cutting's a little different with the zone. But it was something I know that is going to be a point of emphasis going forward because the Cavs, who are considered currently the best team in the league, put that on tape against a Thunder team that people were kind of considering maybe the best team in the league before this game because people haven't really respected Cleveland as much, and the Thunder had just beaten the Knicks and Celtics, who were teams that people kind of thought were better than the Cavs, even though the record might not reflect it. But now that's on tape. I guarantee you that's not the last time, especially in big games, and especially come April and May and June, hopefully. But that we'll see a zone. Chet helps a lot with that too, with his spacing and his shooting. He's really good at that free throw line jump shot, turnaround jump shot as well. Did you notice the zone at all, or was that kind of?
Yeah, I noticed the zone, and they were really effective at getting out to shooters during that zone too. It wasn't like they weren't like allowing us to shoot, kind of in a zone, sitting back, kind of packing the paint. Mm. They were really attacking closeouts aggressively. So it was a really, really effective zone. And I think the zone also caused a few turnovers that shouldn't have been. I think Shea had a couple turnovers into that zone, which make it harder and make the zone more effective. So
I think the turnovers is something that isn't an issue right now. But in the last couple games, I don't know if because you feel an amplified importance because it was against the Knicks, the Celtics, and the Cavs, which are 3 of the best teams in the NBA currently. The turnovers that the Thunder have had seem to be, no turnover is good, but it seems to be at an opportune time to either go and get a lead or cut into one. Like it feels like if you score off that turnover, which the Thunder are very, very good at on the other end, when they generate turnovers by the other team, that's momentum, and you go, and that's how you go on these big runs the Thunder are known for. We were giving the Cavs and the teams before that, the Knicks and the Celtics, they didn't take as big of an advantage of it as the Cavs did. We were giving them opportunities to expand leads or cut into any momentum we have by turning that ball over. Right. And a lot of them weren't, they were just like unforced errors.
Right.
I totally
agree. Yeah.
Out of bounds, which is so uncharacteristic. Like I said, I don't think it's an issue at this time. It's definitely something that's like somewhat needs to be monitored, or at least looking for.
We have more steals than we have turnovers this season.
Not anymore.
Oh, well, egg on my face. But I don't think it's an issue. I think they'll clean it up. I think they're pretty diligent about that kind of stuff. So no worries there.
Yeah. Last couple things on this game that I have. Case and Wallace was amazing. I think the role players are definitely starting to come into their own. He scored 15 points last night. He hit 3 of 3 threes, which if he's hitting threes, I don't think he starts when Chet gets back, but he still will play a ton of minutes. If he's able to space the floor as well as he has been, that is such a benefit and an advantage against any other team we're playing with the defense that he plays, especially if him and Dort are hitting threes. That's such a luxury to have. Wiggins played amazing last night. He's playing the best ball of his career since he turned 26. He had 11 points, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist. He's been hitting loud shots. As I mentioned, Shea's haven't been as loud. Obviously, the Knicks game, he had 15 in the fourth, 4 threes and an and one. The Celtics game, I have to go back and look at that prior box score, but he had, I think, 15 in that one too. He had 19 against the Knicks, 15 in the fourth, and then 15 against the Celtics the game before. He's almost like the pseudo 6-man right now, especially with Caruso out, Chet not in the lineup right now to force Kaysen or someone to the bench. Wiggins had 15 against the Celtics. He's shooting it well. Last year he was at 49% from 3, which led the team. Felt a little fluky. He did come back down a little bit, but he's starting to pick that back up.
Yeah, I agree.
And if he's able to shoot threes with his versatility in terms of how he's able to cut when Hartenstein has the ball, he can dribble a little bit, create his own shot. If he can shoot well, that is a huge, huge, huge thing for this Thunder team, him and Kaysen especially. So I needed to give Kaysen and Wiggs their props. And lastly, on the Thunder, not so much to say that Shea has to do this to win MVP by any means, because he's already his odds are getting more in his favor. He's now a negative favorite, which means he is number 1 ahead of Jokic. He's like minus 150 to 180, depending on which book you look at. We need to win a game on ESPN or TNT.
Yes. I mean, that would be super helpful for his campaign. It's just kind of common sense. If you want people to watch the games and have you and see you with their eyes, you need to win. Yeah.
I mean, we've had some games on TNT and ESPN, but a lot of times, especially earlier in the year, like we played the Spurs and we blew them out, but it was so early, it didn't really matter, and people didn't realize the Spurs would be this good. They're currently fighting for a playoff spot. We played the Magic after Paolo Banchero got hurt, and then we played him again in Orlando when Paolo and I think Wagner was hurt too. So it's been nationally televised games, and not to say Shea hasn't played well. It just hasn't been as meaningful of games, and the Thunder have an opportunity. I say that Shea did play well against the Knicks and the Celtics. Those games were on NBA TV. I used air quotes. It's a national broadcast, but it's not the big ESPN or TNT game. They play the Knicks tomorrow night in Madison Square Garden. That'll be an interesting one. I believe the Knicks are coming off of, they lost to us and then lost the 2 games after. Karl Anthony Towns is questionable tomorrow night. He was questionable, Jalen Brunson was questionable the first time around. I bet he gives it a go. The Knicks might have Miles McBride back, who's one of their guards off the bench who actually plays. Because the Knicks really don't play a lot of their bench players. They, like Thibodeau, their head coach, really runs 7 or 8 maybe.
Right.
And when I say 7 or 8, their top 5 are playing 38, 40 minutes each or more.
And there's 48 minutes in a basketball game. That's a lot.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting to see. Caruso's out again. Chet's out, but he did travel with the team, which usually doesn't happen as an injured player. Usually it's easier for them to get their rehab in back at the facility with the doctors and trainers around them. So it's good to see that he's able to travel. He posted an Instagram story yesterday of him in basketball shoes, like just a picture down at his feet in shoes that he had just gone through a workout. So I think he's starting mobility drills So yeah, some kind of update from him, and then after that, his return really isn't as far away as it might seem, which is just insane.
Yeah, 100%. That Instagram story was quite shocking.
It got me hyped, especially because we haven't heard anything
right
outside of just seeing him at things.
Well, besides that other Instagram he posted where he said new hip, new year.
Yeah. Again, I hope it's not a new one. I hope it's the same one and it's healed and it's perfect.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, that's going to be the biggest thing from this stretch. They beat the Knicks. They beat the Celtics. They won 15 games in a row. If you told me in the last 21 games since Isaiah Hartenstein came back that they'd be 19-2, if any Thunder fan is annoyed or pissed off about that, calm down a little bit. This team is the second best odds to win the finals behind the Celtics. They're playing great. I said this on another pod. Teams are talking about them like they are already a favorite. And then like you can see in tweets, they'll like quote tweet it or follow back on it and be like, oh my gosh, they don't even have Chet yet. And I think when you look at this team, they can win the West as currently constructed. Without Chet is what I mean. Without their injured players. Caruso would probably need to come back. They can win the West without Chet. They need Chet to win the finals. Chet's what puts their ceiling above that. They need them to match up. Obviously, with the Cavs would have been a big one. And if you're making it to the finals, those three teams that you just played are probably, I would say almost 100% going to be one of the three teams you're playing in the finals. Boston, New York, and Cleveland.
Yeah, totally.
Based off of those last three games, is there one, like hypothetically, the Thunder make it to the finals. Out of those three teams, is there one that you would most likely want to see? Or most
likely want to see? Well, if you think about the Knicks, they're going to be, the thought is Tom Thibodeau teams never have very good playoff success, probably because they've been ran into the ground all year.
They get hurt.
The Celtics, I felt like we matched up pretty well, and with Chet, we would match up better. I think the Celtics, same, as long as we have Chet back, I think that's easier team. I think it's the Celtics. I think I'd rather see the Celtics in the finals.
I think, and I don't disagree. I don't think you can be wrong on any of these. I think Knicks for sure is the team that you would most likely want to see in the finals because they don't play a lot of players. And then, but I think until someone dethrones Boston, you put them in a playoff environment and they shoot a little bit. Kristaps is a big mismatch. They shot terribly against us, which is one of the huge reasons why we won. Now there is some purpose behind that, reasoning behind that was our defense, but it's something that I wouldn't feel great about playing Boston. I don't think I'd feel great about any of them until I saw it happen. And then I think just because Cleveland hasn't done it, there were times during that game I was like, if Chet's playing this game, we're up 10. And so I think I'd most want to see the Knicks, followed by the Cavs, then the Celtics.
I definitely see that reasoning. I follow you. Definitely Boston being the last choice because they have done it. They know what it takes. So definitely more dangerous in the playoffs for sure.
And you got to, I say all that, that's all hypothetical that Oklahoma City is able to come out of the West. Right now, they're a pretty heavy favorite for that. The two biggest teams that are kind of standing in their way there would be the Dallas Mavericks, who I think is the number one
Victory
team
Royale.
They're the ones that I'm most scared to play in the West, just because if they're healthy, Luka comes back. He's currently out. He's out a month with a calf strain. Kyrie has a bulging disc in his back or neck. I think it's his neck. If those two are healthy, what they can do in the playoffs, we played them last year. We match up a lot better with them this year with Hartenstein. So I'm not saying that I'd be picking Dallas in that series by any means, but they're the team that scares me the most out of the West. Denver right behind them just because Jokic is Jokic. But the rest of their team just isn't what it used to be. But yeah, a lot of exciting moments ahead for the Thunder, starting with the Knicks tomorrow night. And then Cleveland comes back to Oklahoma City next Thursday. which was also flexed to national television. It's the TNT game next week. And so the Thunder have a chance. They might lose tomorrow night to the Knicks and lose 2 in a row. It's not anything that I think would cause a red flag in terms of play. But they have a chance to kind of get this taste out of their mouth. And with how competitive Mark and the boys are, I think they will. So it's going to be pretty cool.
Mark and the boys.
Yep. That's kind of your Thunder talk for the night. And we weren't trying to go too long, so we can just touch briefly on the University of Oklahoma basketball team.
Porter Moser and the Lose squad.
For those that didn't watch, it was a heck of an evening for the Oklahoma basketball community. The Thunder lost and ended their 15-game win streak at 6:30. That game started at 8 o'clock on ESPN. Your Oklahoma Sooners hosted the Texas A&M Aggies, and the Aggies were missing their best player, Wade Taylor. He averages 15 a game. OU had a guy hit 9 threes. And
lose.
And we lost. At home.
It felt like football season all over again.
But it was like clockwork.
Pure disappointment.
Like nothing's changed with that team. Like those, like you get excited about them every non-conference, and every year you're like, I don't want to buy in. And this year they played well. They have a freshman, as we've mentioned before, Jeremiah Fears. He's going to be a lottery pick this year. Jalen Moore's fun to watch, really athletic, came back from last year. You run the table in non-conference, you come back home, any kind of momentum is shot. I mean, that is a back-breaking loss against a team without their best player. You're up. At one point, they were up 19.
Yeah.
And somebody texted me at the end of the Thunder game and kind of was like, hey, sorry about the loss. It was Ryan, our buddy Ryan, who's big into OU basketball, was like, hey, OU's looking great, da-da-da-da. They just went on a 16-2 run. And I read that, and I was like, they're going to find a way to lose that game. They never can do it right now. It's the Porter Moser special.
Yeah. And we talked about last pod about if Porter Moser's going to still have a job. So we'll see at the end of the season. I mean, it's not looking good for his tournament run, tournament bid at least.
I mean, the undefeated record in non-conference, they have to go they play 18 conference games. They have to go 7-11, 7-11, 8-10 in conference play, and they'd get in because of their non-conference schedule. They beat Arizona. Michigan's a good win. It's not to say that this, obviously it's January. There's still 16 conference games left. They started out 0-2 in conference. That's a loss that on Selection Sunday, if you're sitting at home, you can just go ahead and circle that one in Sharpie and say, this is why we're here. Right. And not going to play. Wasted a guy hitting 9 threes. You shot 54% from the field in that game, and you found a way to lose.
It was weird. It felt like the floor was really slippery. I don't know. I felt like everyone was just throwing the ball around. We couldn't hold on to the ball. We just kept turning it over and turning it over and turning it over. Yeah, and they would go and get layups. It's just that's how you brutal. Just like the Thunder turning the tide in a lot of games. The Texas Aggies turn the tide in the game with turnovers and points off of turnovers.
And last thing I'll say on this game, the last possession, OU's down 2, and you call timeout. There's 11 seconds left. And the shot that you get out of that set play, an ATO out of timeout, is a running number 15. His name's Duke or something. Ryan's going to get mad at me that I don't even care right now with how bad that loss was. He's not even the guy who's hitting the 9 threes. He's not your freshman stud. He's not your senior leader in Jalen Moore. He's running down just trying to flail and get a foul. And that's the shot you draw up. Obviously, I'm sure he tried something else, but that's what the defense forced. But if you're a good coach, you get your team a good shot in that situation.
Yeah, 100%.
And I've never seen that with Porter, and that's really frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, it hurts that Fears couldn't step up. He's a great free throw shooter, shoots 85% or something, misses the front end of a 1-on-1. If he makes both of those free throws, Sooners are up 3. They go down, don't foul. The worst thing that can happen, they go to overtime. we still have a timeout in our pocket. We're able to come down and either, make a shot to win, or it goes to overtime if he hits those 2 free throws. But you can't put it on a single play, especially
if everything went wrong the second half of that game.
Yeah.
So we'll see if Porter can change the narrative about him right now, but it's not looking great. Even though the Thunder lost, I think they're looking great. This is a bias pod, at least towards the Thunder. OU right now, we're a little down. So for the negative aspects of this pod, just flip to the OU part. For
if you want some negativity in your life, just listen to the OU stuff.
But yeah, ending on that positive note, Chris, anything else you want to discuss before we get out of here tonight, man?
No, man, I'm good. I'm just happy that honestly it feels a little relieving to have the Thunder streak over, so we can start just
caring about the game ahead and not
I think unlike Mark, I was getting a 16-0 sort of mindset, and he wanted everyone, including the fans, to have a 0-0 mindset for every game.
That's fair. My prediction, one random bold prediction before we log off. This was not the Thunder's last double-digit win streak of the year.
I have another prediction, and this one is not bold. The Thunder will lose another game.
Wow. You heard it here first, folks. With that news, I can't top that. I think we're going to sign off for tonight, but appreciate y'all, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.
All night long, party, we like to party, all night long. Party, we like to party, never go home. Party, we like to party, all night long. Party.